Throughout its history, the Roman Empire offered several distinct paths to the imperial throne, each with its own set of requirements, risks, and historical precedents. One established route was through legal succession, where an emperor would designate an heir, often through formal adoption or by naming a natural son, and then secure approval from both the Senate and the people of Rome. For instance, Augustus, the first emperor, maneuvered carefully to ensure his chosen successor would inherit his powers by conferring key offices and powers such as the tribunician authority. This method, though seemingly orderly, was never secured by any legal statute. It relied on personal influence, carefully cultivated networks, and the continuous goodwill of both the traditional senatorial class and the military. In many cases, this process involved a series of legal acts and public ceremonies designed to link the new emperor with the long tradition of the republic, even if in practice real power was centralized in the hands of one man. Another common path to the throne was military acclamation. In periods of instability or crisis, successful military commanders with loyal legions could be proclaimed emperor by their troops. The legitimacy of such an ascent rested largely on the support of the army, which in many instances functioned as the ultimate arbiter of power. During the chaotic year of the four emperors in 69 AD, several claimants emerged from different military camps. Vespasian, a general with proven capability, was ultimately elevated to emperor after his forces secured decisive victories. In this system, the loyalty of the soldiers, often cemented by donatives and other rewards, superseded any formal legal process, making the support of the legions indispensable. This method also highlights the role of the Praetorian Guard in Rome itself, who frequently played a decisive part in proclaiming a new ruler or even deposing an unpopular one. A third, and sometimes overlapping, approach was outright usurpation during times of civil war or political fragmentation. In these instances, ambitious individuals took advantage of power vacuums or widespread disorder to seize control by force. These usurpers often began as provincial governors or military commanders, who, exploiting the disintegration of central authority, gathered enough support to challenge the reigning emperor. Although some usurpers managed to secure recognition from the Senate or even had their rule confirmed by later emperors, many remained short-lived figures who were either deposed or killed. The absence of a codified succession mechanism meant that the success of any usurper depended on a combination of military might, rapid political maneuvering, and the ability to win over influential factions within Rome and the provinces. A fourth possibility, particularly in the early years of the empire, was direct senatorial election. Initially, the Senate retained the formal power to elect or confirm the emperor, thereby lending an appearance of continuity with the republic's traditions. On rare occasions, the Senate chose a candidate based on his perceived ability to restore order or revive traditional values, even in the absence of overwhelming military support. However, as the power of the legions grew, this method became largely ceremonial. The Senate's role, while symbolically significant, was often overshadowed by the necessity of having the army's approval. In later periods, control of Rome, or its new capital, Constantinople, became the ultimate marker of legitimacy, further diminishing the Senate's independent electoral authority. In practice, these methods were not mutually exclusive. An individual might begin his rise through military acclaim, only to later seek senatorial endorsement to solidify his rule, or an adopted heir might need to demonstrate his capability through military victories. The fluidity of Roman political structures meant that legitimacy was not derived from any single source, but rather from a combination of factors. The personal authority and reputation of the claimant, the loyalty of the armed forces, the acquiescence or active support of influential political bodies, and the effective use of propaganda to shape public opinion. Ultimately, whether an emperor was viewed as legitimate often depended on his ability to consolidate power and maintain stability. Those who managed to overcome initial challenges and secure long-term control, by any of these methods, tended to be remembered as the rightful rulers, while failed usurpers or short-lived claimants were relegated to the margins of history. This multifaceted system of imperial accession underscores the complexity of Roman political life. Without a formalized legal framework for succession, the question of who could become emperor was answered through a combination of traditional inheritance, military power, political opportunism, and in some cases the shifting allegiances of Rome's elite. It was a system in which the notion of divine favor often played as much a role as legal or military prowess, with successful emperors frequently portraying their rise as ordained by the gods to maintain order and continuity in an ever-changing political landscape.